Well, hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. And of course, me, Chantelle, your hostess, definitely with the mostest of everything. All you awesome people in the chats, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. It's wonderful to actually come in a few minutes before and see you guys all there chattering away. So thank you. I really appreciate you. And before we bring on the lovely Holly Baglio again, tomorrow, same time, 6 o'clock Central Africa time, which is now. Penny Bradley, also Montauk's Secret Space Program Survivor. Really, really, very, very interesting. I've just done the second interview with her, so that'll be aired tomorrow at the same time as now. And then, of course, Sunday Loop. So catch that. And without any further ado, let's bring on the lovely Holly. Hello, Holly.
Hi,
We've
Shanti.
had... Carry on, sorry.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. I said, how are you, Shanti?
I'm great. It's been interesting. We've had some background shenanigans going on here. But
Yeah.
hey, we will persevere and we just carry on, don't we?
Yeah.
Nice to see you. How was your birthday last week? Did you have a fabulous day?
Yes, I did because I got to hang out with you and everybody in your chat room. I loved it. And thank you so much again. I see my rooster will be joining us for this interview. Um, I don't know if you can hear him, but he's cockadoodled right outside my bedroom window. So
We love roosters. I have one living next door as well, and some chickens. And every time one of the hens lays an egg, she absolutely broadcasts it to the entire neighborhood, and I love it. She's so proud of herself, and I'm going, "Yay, baby! I'm so proud of you." They're amazing. Yeah, no, it's very cool. So
yeah,
your rooster is more than welcome.
thank you.
And to everyone else's rooster as well. If you all got a rooster in your vicinity, invite that chicken in, man. We're going to be chatting about some cool things tonight. Anyway, so I know we've got a few more of your stories that you're going to be sharing with us this evening. But I know that you've been setting up your website as well, but I know it's not quite ready yet. So, do you want to tell us about that and anything else that you want to share with the viewers before we go ahead?
Oh, thank you. I wanted to unveil the website today, but I missed the deadline. I'm not going to be finished. I have to upload my drawings. The descriptions are written for each drawing, but I just have to upload or scan the drawings and upload everything. But I'm thinking that I will be finished on Monday. But if you look up HollyBaglio.com, that's my new website. So I'll have the rough draft of my autobiography that I'm finalizing right now. That'll be up there, and all of my drawings, and definitely links to these interviews that I've done with you. So
All
um,
right. Is it HollyBaglio.com? Just www.hollybaglio.com.
yes,
Okay, I'm just going to pop that up on the screen. So just let me know that that's cool.
I hope it works.
Um,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay, let me just put that
Just
on
a
the screen.
shell of a website, but you'll see, like, this weekend I'll be uploading stuff to it and filling it out. But it'll see and having to deal with me. So
Well, the internet just went very bad, and all I heard was having to deal with me. So I'm not really sure what you were saying, but we love dealing with you if that had anything. And yes, Joe, the secret is out. Yes, guys, go check out Holly's website and all the stuff that she's sharing there with us. Um, and yeah, and here's her YouTube channel as well. Thank you, girl, Maureen. Appreciate you. Okay, so tell us a little bit more of some of your, I'm just going to call them adventures, because I can imagine, as we all well know, this was way beyond adventures, but rather than focus on the trauma of it, because you're here and you've lived and you've around to tell your story. So, what do you have to share with us this evening, or just something that you've, one or two things that you experienced that sort of again stick out for you?
Um, when I was in my late teenage years, my grandparents, well, my grandfather was dead, so it was just my grandmother and I. Um, and a programmer came to my house, and he showed me or taught me what the monarch butterfly was. Um, it was strange because a knock came at the door, and my grandmother went out to answer the door, and I heard a male's voice, which was strange, and I got up from my bedroom to walk out, and that's when I saw my grandmother was letting in this programmer, and I saw the two of them walk through the porch and into the kitchen. On the opposite side of the porch, there was an addition put on. It was a bedroom, but I saw her allow the programmer enter in to the main part of the house, which was on the other side of the porch. And I see the two of them walk in, and my grandmother looked like she was under a trance, like she was just hypnotized. And he sat, both of us at the kitchen table, and I remember talking to him, but automatically I was hypnotized by him. He then took me and left, what spoke to me, and I remember, but he then took me from the kitchen. We went back out through the porch and into the addition, the bedroom that was added on. And he began the MK Ultra programming, but I guess you call it Monarch. And not, I'm going to be graphic, and please excuse me. But anyway, he made me undress and stand on top of my clothes, and he began giving me instructions, and he taught me what the monarch butterfly was about. And my understanding at that point is it's a woman in the missionary position with her knees bent and up in the air. And that makes the outline of a butterfly. That's my own personal experience and understanding of that type of programming. And basically, he raped me. But he was also doing some sort of ritual. It wasn't only about the sex, but it was also about the mind control aspect of it too. Because when he was finished, it's kind of hard to explain, but he took my heart and put it in his briefcase. And then he told me, "You will never love again, Holly. You'll never feel love. I'm taking your heart, and it's gone now. And you're going to have to live the rest of your life without it." And when he did that part of the mind control, I started to lose it. He walked out of the bedroom through the porch, and then he left the house and walked to his car. And as he was walking to his car, I came out and into the porch, and I started screaming at him, "Bring back my heart." It had started to sink in, the mind control, because I had thought to myself, wow, I'm never going to be able to feel the love I have for my grandmother. I'm never going to be able to feel the warmth of her. And she, to me, was my mother. She raised me. And I was devastated over that fact. I remember crying and screaming and running from window to the door to the next window and banging on the window and wall, screaming at the programmer, bring back my heart, bring back my heart. And he just drove out the driveway down the road, and that was it. It was no big deal for him. And I remember falling down onto the floor of the porch and just crying my heart out. And I tried to pick myself up and say, well, you know, Holly, I at least got to feel what love was like for a little while. So I know I love my grandmother, and that'll be good enough for me. That just knowing that I love her, I won't be able to feel it anymore. And I think that was a part of the programming. So when they would send me out in the future for nefarious reasons, missions and assignments, that my alters would have an easier time carrying out the different things that they wanted me to do, because they basically made me think I was a robot with no feelings and emotions, and that's how I had to live life. But that stuck with me. That stuck with me. And in the healing process of it all, there's a silver lining. In the healing process, my creator, our creator, when I had the 169 altars, he tells us to go to him like children. And the majority of my altars were really young. I used to call them baby dolls, but a lot of them were under the age of 10. And he was gentle with them. And in the spirit, my altars, because they had been opened up to these different rituals and sacrifices, I believe that I could see him in the spirit. I believe I could see the Holy Spirit. And for my little altars, what he did was he took my heart, which was still there the whole time, but I was programmed to think that it was not there. But he took my heart and he patched it up. And you know, like when you get holes in your jeans or shirts, you put like different patches on them. Well, anyway, Abba took my heart and he put patches all over my heart, and then he put it back in my chest. So that was the vision that Abba gave me that helped me to heal past this. So even though it was a devastating event, it's okay now. How's our internet doing? Is it still choppy?
No, it
Or,
seems to be a lot better now.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to go back, sort of to the beginning when you were saying you took your heart and you put it in his
His brief.
briefcase, and saying you will never feel again, or you won't love again, or whatever the case might be. I mean, that is such wicked programming, because again, immediately that would be the reason, as you say, that would occur to me for future, um, as you say, nefarious missions you were sent on, where you were not able to feel, you were not allowed to feel, because if you were able to feel, that might stop you from carrying out their job for you, right? So I would say that that would be the reason why they did that. Obviously, your heart was not gone. You know that now. I mean, and even then, you knew that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was absolutely. I can imagine the confusion. that must leave you with, though, you know? How did you deal with that afterwards?
Um,
Like just after that happened, like in
um,
the days and weeks that followed. Do you remember?
I tried to sweep it under the carpet and forget about it and push it out of my head. But the other thing is that the other altars, when they were programmed to notice that if my core raw personality woke up, the other altars, some altars were programmed to recognize that and then to put me back under the mind control or hypnosis, um, and like make me forget, like uh, push down the memory so I didn't think of it. Um, so that happened on a couple of occasions, but I told myself, oh, Holly, it's all in your head. Forget about it. Forget about it. Just, you got to live life. You got to keep moving forward, as my grandmother always would say, because I suffered depression a lot. And she'd be like, you have to keep moving. You have to keep living. You have to keep going forward. So just make yourself. And so that's what I did, was I just made myself. But it showed in my relation, except for my relationship with my grandmother. In all my other relationships, it showed. It came across like I was cold or distant, but I wasn't. I was quiet because I didn't know how to handle my feelings and to even speak my feelings. Even still now, I feel extremely vulnerable. And when it comes to love, just like romantical love with a man, that I just my whole life I would veer away from it, run away from it, and say, no, 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 I'm never getting married. I don't want a relationship. But meanwhile, it was the one thing that I really, really, really wanted. I wanted to get married and have a family, but yet I always pushed it away. And my relationships, well, I'm not with those guys anymore, so that speaks for itself. They just weren't successful. But I was never cold. I always had feelings. I just never knew how to express them. And then if I did try to express them, it was almost like I was a grenade and I would get mad because all those other emotions would make me feel vulnerable and weak and embarrassed of myself.
Absolutely. Because that's, if when we know how life, love truly works, right? The heart is the center of love. And of course, they're going to do whatever they can to disconnect you, because we have the upper and the lower heart, right? The upper heart represents more universal love, cosmic love, right? Lower heart is more relationship love. The one the relationships we have with each other in the physical realm. So they would obviously know exact. I mean, I say this all the time. These guys know exactly how to work with energy. They know exactly how to manipulate and um, disrupt, being a mild term, a young mind. So absolutely, they would make you think that your heart was gone, you didn't have feelings. And especially, I would imagine as well, coupled with the fact that you were being sent on nefarious assignments. So, some part of your consciousness was registering that you were doing heartless things, that you were engaging in heartless acts, right? So all of that just kind of plays a part in this not having a heart. And of course, every relationship that you have, and especially, I mean, your intimate relationships are all about the heart. And if you have no heart and you don't know how to express your feelings, you're going to attract someone in your life who has the same issues. doesn't know how to express feelings, doesn't know, doesn't understand how to open up emotionally. So you have these two wounded hearts hurting each other even more, creating more wounds. Now, these guys know that this is how it works. So they literally give you something to think about or a thought, and then they allow you to erode your own sanity with that thought. And if you are not in your power and alignment, as kids at that age aren't, right? And especially vulnerable kids, they're going to play on all your weaknesses because they are then going to put that shard of glass in the weak spots and it's going to cut away. What is your take on that?
I absolutely agree. I feel like you explained me in a nutshell.
Well, I think that's and I think that's amazing. But again, you know, you've come out of it, which
Yeah.
is incredible to be able to see that. When did you realize that? Was that a memory you had all this time, or was that also something that obviously was blocked away and maybe surfaced at a later stage again?
Well, every time I walked into that bedroom in the house, memories would resurface. I'd have like recurring nightmares. For instance, my mother used to use that as her room. For the little while she did live with my grandparents, and she could never sleep with me at night because I'd wind up kicking her in the ribs because I always had this reoccurring nightmare, but it wasn't a nightmare, it was a memory. I remember, I think we were dressed in white, almost like a KKK outfit, for lack of better terms. It had the hood and the long gown. And I remember being led in with a group of kids, maybe about 10, 15 kids. And there were a couple of adults with us, but they were leading us into a cave. And we went in through the mouth of the cave. But then one of the adults stopped and said, "No, Holly's not allowed to come any further. She has to stay right here. She's not allowed to go in with the other kids." And the adults led the other kids farther into the cave, deeper into the cave. And they wouldn't let me, they would not let me leave the mouth of the cave. I was stopped right there with an adult watching me. And I remember pacing around. But in this, what I thought was a nightmare, it was a memory. But then from the cave, I just heard screams of kids and loud sounds. But my memory cuts out from there. But I think I was snapping out of altar. But when I would go in that room, my dreams were actually, when I'd go to sleep at night, I was actually recalling things that had happened in the domes. And it's no surprise because even when the programmer came to my house, he took me to that room. And so later in life, when I was an active super soldier, when I was in my 20s, it's strange because I had moved my bedroom from the main part of the house out to the opposite end of the porch where the addition was on, just so I could have a little bit more privacy. I'd gotten married, but then 9 months later divorced. I filed for extreme cruelty. Anyway, I think that room just reinforced the MK Ultra programming. I think it kept me in that cycle of MK Ultra. But I don't know if I answered that question right.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing, you know, and I can imagine with so many memories surfacing as well. And I love what you said a couple of weeks back in one of your shows. It's like your alters couldn't write or read, but they could draw. So you just were drawing, and then you were putting the pictures on different piles. And that's how you literally sorted through your memories as well. I mean, that's actually quite genius. That really is quite genius that, that you figured how to do that. It really is. Can you tell us who your programmer was?
Um, well, I'll tell you in private, Shanti, but honestly, I am absolutely terrified to speak his name publicly. I do
Okay.
not
No, good.
give him any reason to come back and murder me. He's still
No,
alive.
no.
He does.
Obviously, if there's still, okay, if he's still alive, we don't. There's always that danger. But there's a part of me that believes these people should be out there and named and shamed. But I think they still wield too much power for us to do that. I mean, I don't care. I say their names whenever I feel like it, really.
Well,
But hmm?
this one pretends to be a victim, but he was never a victim. He was never a kid in the cage. He was somebody that was putting the kids in a cage. So I'm sorry, Shanti. In
No,
private,
no, no, no,
I'm
absolutely.
publicly.
No,
Admit it.
absolutely. That's quite scary because if what you're saying is these guys, and I mean, what you're saying is these guys are actually coming out there telling stories, survivor stories, right? Speaking as if they were victimized and they themselves went through that. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they would be actually groomed to be handlers and already starting like older kids handling younger kids. Would that be accurate from what your experience has been? So, like, there would be some older kids that are being groomed, probably bloodline kids as well, that were being groomed to be handlers and watching the younger kids in the cages and probably taking notes and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head. That programmer later on, well, even before, um, he had Russian connections. So that's another reason why he did that to me, was because he is how I got, or why, how I got over to Russia and back, was because of this programmer. So, and he handled me. But because of his connections and what he was into, I was brought over by him to Russia. Um, but yes, he himself is absolutely a bloodliner.
This is what we have to discern, right? This is what we have to discern. This is, and I think this is what I'm saying, where we as the general public need to be so discerning. And this is the time, I mean, and I'm using this as an example to highlight what I say a lot on the shows, discernment, because there are these programmed, groomed handlers that, yes, I have no doubt would have gone through some programming as well. Probably, maybe, I don't know what they go through, but like it's usually the older kids watching the younger kids. And then you hear these stories of later on when more and more survivors start coming out, real survivors as well, right? And then you start hearing the truth about kids and atrocities that they commit on other kids as well. So, unfortunately, that's a reality in the system. There is horrific abuse of kids on other kids. I mean, the kids have got to sacrifice other kids at some point as well. This we've heard countless times, but it's just very interesting. And then we're hearing these guys coming out as these survivors, and often very slick speaking survivors as well. that, this is what we've got to discern. It's often the slickest ones that are actually the gatekeepers and the controlled opposition. And we have to be so aware. The ones that we think aren't often, it's kind of like, oh, guys, just spiritual discernment. That's all. Take everything with a pinch of salt, and you got to use your heart, because only your heart is going to tell you the truth, not the head. The head gets too confused. Only the heart. And you have a heart. We all have a heart. Holly, you have your heart.
It's all patched up. I got it.
No, he never took it from you to begin with. That was a big fat lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was just the mind, the mind playing, controlling the mind, and therefore leaving you to believe that there was more to what they were doing. Oh, they're so disgusting. Gosh, I want I want to meet that person one day. Just me and him. Just me and him.
I
No,
don't
I'm
know.
not going to do to them what they do to us. Don't worry. But I would just absolutely just love to have a conversation with someone who's involved and engaging in that. Anyway, we were also going to talk about coincidences. You were talking something about coincidences. Let me just find it here. There are no
That's
coincidences, so maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Oh, thank you. Like everybody mentions trigger words, and I think a trigger word or trigger phrase is there are no coincidences. When I heard that when I was first waking up from the MK Ultra programming, I heard another super soldier say that at the beginning of his interviews, like what you and I are doing now. He was interviewing, and at the beginning, he said there are no coincidences. And when he said that, just it seemed like things clicked for me, because I thought, oh yeah, so search dolphins on Mars is no coincidence. And he wound up in that very interview that he gave to talk about Project Seagate and searching for dolphins on Mars. And I I wanted to have a chance to say that to everybody, because on a grand mass scale, everybody at this point is being subjected to mind control programming um, through mass media and everything else. Um, but if you think there are coincidences, then you may possibly keep yourself in a cycle of being dumbed down and just reinforcing the hypnosis. Um, and also, you could very well miss your shepherd if you think there are coincidences for a reason. And the spirit realm answers. So there are no coincidences. When something happens, realize it's happening for a reason and do not take it with a grain of salt. But there are no coincidences. So wake up.
That's very, yeah, that's very interesting. Um, I'm interested to know, when he said those words on a podcast, there are no such thing as coincidences. And that triggered something in you, but in a good way. Obviously, it woke something up for you in a more positive way.
Yeah.
So, do you think that that's also going on right now? Because we're also hearing, obviously, there's a lot of sleepers out there at the moment, and there's a lot of um, triggering going on. We know this, right? We know this. We just have to look at the work agenda, right? And, I'm not even talking about Charlie Kirk, but I'm talking about the furore that is being created around that situation. There are no coincidences. That's exactly what I'm saying, in terms of that. So we look at that whole agenda, right? We look at people sort of going berserk right now. I mean, the lies, the BS that we are being fed by the media. There's a lot of also, as I said, the negative awakening. But then I'm wondering, just from what you've said there now, is it that when that guy said that, that is also to awaken people on a more positive note as well, and get survivors to start listening and go, oh, that's a trigger word for me. Hey, that just woke me up. So I think there has to be some of that out there, don't you think?
Absolutely. We can take what, so we can take, sometimes we can take what the enemy does and turn it around and use it against the enemy. That's completely fine. I know it woke me up. And it woke me up and it made me think, wow. So so these memories, like there's a high chance I went through these MK Ultra projects. And I learned to stop passing off my own memories and look into what it was. But yeah, the other thing to that was, um, I don't want to use names, but I had a knife, and I had it named after a man named Aaron. And I was dating in this normal life, I was dating a guy that was abusive, who was beating me up every 2 weeks. And anyway, when I broke up with him, he didn't like it, and he was going to come back to take me out. Um, and I started to wear weapons on me for self-defense purposes against him, because he even had a friend from South Carolina come up to New Jersey to help him with me. And so I was carrying knives around, and I had one knife named Moses from scripture, and then another knife named Aaron. But Aaron was from the darkness, and there was always this brown-haired, brown-eyed boy that stuck in my memory. And I could never figure out how I knew the person. And I don't really believe in past lives. So anyway, with my knife, I wound up naming it Aaron. And this whole situation was before I even woke up from MK Ultra. So I'm wearing a knife, walking around wearing a knife named Aaron, long before I woke up from the MK Ultra programming. So when it finally came time to waking up to that MK Ultra programming, there I was, sitting there with a knife clipped onto my belt, named Aaron, looking at the screen with this brown-haired, brown-eyed man named Aaron from Project Seagate, talking about searching for dolphins on Mars, and there's no coincidences. That's
Exactly.
that came crashing down. I don't want to use names, and please forgive me. Listen, other people have families, and I want to be mindful and respectful of those other people, please. So,
No, 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 absolutely. Wow. I mean, that's wild. I don't know if you saw this comment here from Colleen, actually, which is quite interesting. There was a super soldier on Project Camelot named Aaron, but I can't remember his last name. Could it be the same person? He's
yes,
brown eyed and brown hair. Do you know
yeah, Aaron.
anything about that particular?
Yeah,
Okay, we're not going there.
yeah, that's the Aaron. I think that I remember him from Project Seagate. And I think that he could have been one of the three super soldiers that came back in 2011 to make sure I was awake. I think he could have been one of the three little boys that I made a pact with. Should any one of us get out alive, we'd come back for the others. But I don't talk to him. I hear he's off grid, and I definitely want to respect his privacy and family by all means. So, but it's the same one.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, I mean, have you connected with the three boys?
No, no. I have not. I reached out to the people who I thought it could be, but one lives off grid, and one says that he doesn't remember me, and the other one just doesn't like me, so he won't talk to me. I'm not. No, I don't know, but I'm only. I could have a couple of these people incorrect, but I always thought that it was Aaron and James and Kieran. So, and I always wanted to thank them for coming back for me and not leaving me behind and not forgetting about me. Thanks for making sure I was awake because that gave me a chance to deprogram and live my life my way. And just what these three gentlemen did for me was just so huge. And but if I had 169 altars and I don't remember everything, then I do not expect another super soldier to remember everything too. So,
It's interesting that because I would imagine that part of the programming as well would be that you guys don't reconnect. You know, I would imagine that they would have, so that should you at a later stage, like further down the timeline, because we know they work on these timelines as well, further
yeah,
down the timeline, see that you get together, make sure that rejection is no, no, I don't know you. Who the hell are you? Because of course it's always divide and conquer. So
yeah,
they would do whatever they needed to do in order to not have you guys come together. Because when you start speaking together, four of you, I mean, that's a power circle, that's a power circle. Because especially if you're backing your other buddies up, right? And they're backing you up. And you can do so in a honest and natural way. So I would imagine that part of the programming as well would be that, let's say, if it was one of the boys that you think it is, um, then it could well be that they are programmed to not embrace you, um, or each other or whatever it might be. But the way I see it is the time for that is just not right then. God reveals everything. God reveals everything when the time is perfect, when everything is aligned for us to be able to hold the truth, accept the truth, and work with it. Otherwise, it's premature, and that makes it not easy. So for me, even if it is or if it isn't. If it's not them, the right ones will surface. They will find their way to you. And if it is them, I've no doubt in time that will surface as well. So, yeah, meant to be so unreal estate. I agree. Estate agent. I
yeah.
agree. Yeah, that's cool though, Holly. Yeah, that's amazing. Hmm. Wow. So, is there, I mean, when I think about as well the coincidences, um, it makes such sense because I always agree, there are no such thing as coincidences. There really aren't. It's kind of like, to me, a coincidence is a God wink. It's like, God saying, hey, check that out. You got to go do something there. Whether it's to just revisit something that happened a while ago, or whether it's to relook at something, or whether it's to look at the situation, if it's a cycle that's repeating, right? There are no coincidences, and it's so true. And to look at these things, I think we all have coincidences in life. And actually, the way I see it, coincidence is actually your intuition manifesting. It's like your intuition saying, look, I don't know, what's your take on that? How many other coincidences have you had?
Um,
Stuff like that. Do you remember anything offhand?
boy, not offhand. They do happen though.
Yeah.
They do happen. But I look for it too. Like now that I know that there's no coincidences, I pay attention to things more. So I think they happen more often. But yeah, they're kind of surprising. So I'm glad, you know, that was a big whammy though when I was sitting there looking at this man named Aaron with my knife named Aaron, and I had remembered searching for dolphins the whole time. Some memories stayed with me my entire life, and um, and then there were other memories that when they came back, I thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, how could I have forgotten that?" Um, that happened a bunch of times, but of course, nothing's popping to mind while I'm sitting here talking to you right now.
Mm.
Um, I hate that. I'm always
Dolphins, dolphins, dolphins on Mars. Explain. I mean, I know you said you guys were looking for them. So explain more of that. Explain Mars. I mean, explain Mars. Yeah. And
uh,
dolphins on Mars. Like, yeah, gosh, it sounds so bizarre.
um, well, um, and so I remember um, before right when I was accepted on the Project Seagate, I was put through testing. I don't know how the correct words to use, but I was put through testing. I was supposed to jump out of a helicopter into the ocean. And so, anyway, I guess I was about 18 years old. And in this helicopter, um, when me and the other soldier got on board and sat down, I saw three men in front of me. It was two older men and a younger man. And I'll keep this story short, or this part short, because I think I told you this before, this part of my testimony. But anyway, I leaned over and I said to the younger guy, because I figured, oh, the two older men, they must be high ranking soldiers. I better keep my mouth shut, right? But we get on this helicopter, and I'm expected to jump out and go through these series of tests to be accepted on to Project Seagate. And of course, I want to be on Project Seagate. Um, but I always had a problem with my stomach sinking. I could never go on roller coasters because I hated the feeling of falling. So anyway, when I saw the younger guy sitting there, I figured, oh well, he's probably like a janitor or something like that. And I leaned over and I was like, "Do you have Dramamine?" And he started laughing. He goes, "No." I'm like, "Well, then you might have to push me out of this helicopter because there's no way I'm leaving it." Like, I was like, "I can't deal with the sinking feeling in my stomach." And he told me, he leaned over and he goes, "Holly, when you jump out of the plane, exhale very slowly. Control your breathing. And if you control your breathing, it'll help stop some of that sinking feeling. It's not going to take it completely away, but it'll get rid of a lot of it. Just control your exhale." So all of a sudden, the pilots say, "Ready." And the other soldier's on his feet. So I'm on my feet. And he gets in line and he starts moving to get out the door. So now it's my turn to get out the door. And I see him get up, this guy that I was joking with, that I thought was the janitor or whatever. I saw him get up and come towards me as if he was going to push me out of the plane. But I was just joking about that. Like I knew I was going out of that plane one way or another. So I'm going to do it myself. But anyway, so he went to like push out his hands like he was going to push me, but I dodged his hands and I jumped out of the helicopter and I had a successful landing. Um, and that's when I was accepted onto Project Seagate. But the thing was, is once I got to Project Seagate, the young guy that I was joking around with about asking him for Dramamine, he turned out to be like the team leader, the head honcho of Project Seagate. He was not like some small ranking soldier at all. He was in charge of the shebang. So anyway, like when we crossed the Seagate, he was in charge. So had if I knew that, I would have never joked around with the guy. Anyway, so but I was really nervous, and I was really nervous for Project Seagate. But what it looked like was in the room where the Seagate was, it looked like a big door with kind of water falling over it. For lack of better terms, if you ever saw that movie from the 80s, Stargate, it kind of looked like that. Um, and we were, um, there was a room built around the Seagate. But on one side of the room, there were a row of chairs, and in front of the Seagate was a desk, and the white lab coats were at that desk monitoring the Seagate. But we used the silver cord and walked through the gate. Our bodies were safe and sound in the chair in the dumbs, but on the other side of the Seagate, I think we were using avatars, because on the other side of the gate, I remember moving objects and using tools and maneuvering around. Um, so we were using our silver cords. So I believe we walked into another dimension. And in that dimension, they had water and dolphins. Um, the water's different than our water, but water nonetheless. Um, I believe Mars was another dimension. Um, and then when it came time, my memory is fragmented. I only remember bits and pieces. When it came time to come back through the Seagate, I remember being on the other side and approaching the gate and looking through it, and I could see my body sitting in the chair in the dumbs, and I just went back to my body. But um, the team leader must have went against rules one day or did something, because I remember when I walked in the dumbs, the team leader jumping down off of this big rig, this big piece of machinery, and he starts laughing and walking towards me going, when I asked him for a skeleton crew, I didn't think they were going to send me a skeleton. And he was a wise ass, but he gave me a hug and welcomed me. But when we were on the other side of the gate, we had done something, and I'm not sure what it was, but I remember like burying a tool next to the gate itself. And when the team and I came back through, the lab coats were pissed. Um, I remember rejoining my body, and when we were done with that mission, I stood on top of my chair like Rocky. Um, I was so happy we were done with that mission and we got back to the other side. But the white lab coats, I remember they ripped me down off my chair and started kicking and beating on me and another girl, screaming at us, "What did you do? What did you do?" They were angry. And I just yelled back, "I did what you told me to." And I thought to myself, wow, I need to remember that for when my biological mother yells at me so I can give her that excuse. I just did what you told me. I don't know. Um, but so I'm trying to think. I'm not sure. I think I kind of got off on a tangent. I said I would keep the story short, but I didn't. Um, but I liked
No,
Project
it's
C.
all good.
Like, you
Ah,
know, sorry.
what would I want? What would? What? That's all good. I mean, there's a lag, so I hope everyone gets that too. What were they wanting to do with the dolphins on Mars? And what are the dolphins like there? Now, okay, let me just preface that by saying, so what you're saying, the Mars that you've been to is not a planet. It's a different dimension within this realm. So that's where you would travel through portals and what have you to get there, and then looking for dolphins. Now, what was different about the dolphins there? Were they different? Why did they want them?
It was, I think the dolphins were like an alien hybrid type of dolphin. But we needed them for their sonar because I guess their sonar is how we got back through the gate. Um, but my
This is so disgust. This is, I mean, this is so disturbing to me because what's becoming more and more clear to me is how they've been using animals and actually doing tests and things on these amazing animals like dolphins, whales, countless others. Okay, we don't even have to go there. And literally mimicking their ways, and therefore now using that and applying it, if that makes sense to you, right? So not only are they stealing whatever they want to steal, but they're also using the animals' gifts, their powers, to power themselves up.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm wondering, you know, the animal testing laboratories and stuff we hear about then, because mostly we hear about animal testing being done for cancer or medical pharma or the beauty industry, right? That's according to what we're hearing, sort of animal testing is about. But I think it is so much more. It's like that's what they using, obviously, creating chimeras with, and also using and duplicating the ways of the animals so that they can do use, and that's DARPA. To me, I am sure, because DARPA does a whole lot of very skanky, very dodgy things. Because to me, isn't it DARPA that does all these like fake bees and things like that? They make all these, yeah, these. So that to me would be DARPA that is doing stuff like that, that is
Yeah,
actually using, taking animals, testing them relentlessly to figure out how they can use their, and how they can duplicate their superpowers and steal what they can from them to use for their own nefarious purposes. Jeez.
yeah, and they are tortured. Um, the memories I have with the animals, a lot of times I just have my eyes closed and I can only hear them screaming. I know they used animals in sacrifices, but in the dumbs, though, I remember this one project where they had these different animals that were locked in a cage, like birds and different kind of, like, I don't know, wolves and snakes and different kinds of animals, and they were locked in a cage, just like just like us kids. So I always found that brutal. But a lot of my memories, it's just all black, but I can hear the cages and the screams of the animal, like the cages rattling and shifting. But it's gross what they do.
I mean, it's so disgusting and so disturbing. I mean, I find these things so disturbing. But the more we're figuring out just how depraved they are, there's nothing. Sorry, my camera's gone again. I'll figure it out now. There's nothing more depraved than using animals for their nefarious purposes. I'm sorry. And the more depraved they can get, the happier they are. It's like they just love to hurt. They just love hurting. And they don't care. There's just absolutely no mercy. And that's the most disturbing part. There's no mercy. And every survivor you speak to has had stories about how their handlers or parents or whatever it is has taken their animals and tortured them and hurt them to try and control the child. So not only are they used in sacrifices, they bond that animal to the child and create
Yeah.
more trauma like that. God, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyway, wow.
Sorry, that's
Holly,
like my
thank you. Mm,
weakness.
mm.
Thank you. That's my weakness is like animals being hurt, like even driving down the road. God forbid if I hit a squirrel, I'm in shock for 3 days. So that's my weakness is animals. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm like
Well,
you, Sean.
anyone whose weakness is not animals, or anyone who can sit there and easily allow an innocent or a defenseless life to be taken and abused and tortured and just discarded, there's something wrong with that person. Spiritually, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. That is most definitely there's something wrong with you. If you go out and hurt innocent creatures, really. You need a healer. You really need a healer. Holly, thank you so much. I appreciate you and great intel again this evening. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Is there anything you'd like to say, maybe just in ending off um, to wrap it
Just
all up?
um I love you to the beautiful fine folks in your chat room and thanks for joining me and I'm really humbled and but no, I don't have anything to say. I wish I did, but I don't know what it is why I always struggle to have blocks. And the second we're not running live, that's when I'll be like, oh, I could have told her. Oh, I could have told her that. So,
Well, there's still plenty of time anyway. So, guys and gals, Holly, thank you. Are you doing anything? Where can people get a hold of you? Are you doing any shows or anything?
well, once I get the website back up, I will resend out a letter to land some more interviews. I did approach some channels, but I have not heard back from them. But with the website up, they'll be able to respond back. So, but I don't have anything planned for right now. I'll let you know though.
Perfect. Well, we'll catch you on your Facebook and all sorts of things like that anyway. All
Yeah.
Holly's details, guys, are in the description. So thank you, everybody. God bless you all. Take good care of your beautiful selves. And I shall see you, yes, well, tomorrow with Penny, although it's recorded, but I'll probably be in the chat hanging out with y'all. Yeah. God bless everybody. Take good care and have a beautiful weekend. Goodbye.